would have thought restarting my browser would have fixed everything.
Watch it mess up as soon as we go live. We're early live though.
What?
Hello, everybody.
What's up, everybody? We're back with another episode of My Cup of Tea, episode number 154. Wow, look at us, Evan. We're speeding on by.
We're gonna be at 160 by the end of this saga, this show, The Last of Us. That's gonna be fun. I guess. No, we have 6 more episodes till 160, and we have 4 more. Oh my god. Oh no. 4 more episodes of The Last of Us. I hate.
There's only 7 episodes?
There's only 7 episodes. I'm like, stop it with these short seasons, Craig and Neil. We know you want to do more seasons. Like he's theorizing like 4, maybe season 4. And I'm like, well, yeah, if we're only giving us 7 episodes this season, it's a small, but I can't wait to dive into this episode, man. I had a really good time with this episode, which I think, I've been thinking, I'm driving home and I'm like, I don't want to talk about criticisms, but it just naturally comes up when I'm talking about stuff. I really like this episode, but I also want to debate some of the things I saw online from people who meant well, from people who didn't mean well. Not that people who didn't mean well are bad people, just they had criticism of the show, which is fine. But I liked a lot of this episode. There's certain stuff that I am curious / maybe worried about, but guess what, guys? I'm gonna have patience, and I'll wait till we get to the end of the season to have like retroactive worries about the direction of the show. But overall, I'm liking what they're doing here. I had a great time soaking in this newly changed series of events that followed Joel's death, and where we're going to go from there. But yeah, we're going to be diving into The Last of Us Season 2. As we always do, Nathan and I, we are game players. So we are going to spoil some events of the game, not every little thing, but some certain events of the game in natural conversation. So if you've not played the game, maybe, tune in later. This might not be the podcast for you a little bit, but overall, no spoilers at all. I really liked this episode. I thought it was a fantastic episode. So we'll dive into that afterwards. Nathan has finally seen Sinners, which is great. My favorite movie of the year. Is it Nathan's favorite movie of the year? We'll see. It is. Okay, cool.
I mean, it felt so tragic. I went to go log, and I was like, yep, my 5th movie of the year.
No!
I was like, it's only 2 above Cap, which, I like, but damn it. That's not equated. I was like, all right. But yeah, let's just focus on my top 2, which is was it Presence? And
Presence is great. It's still my top. I think it's my number 5 still. It's really good.
It's my 2.
You should see Black Bag. I think you would really like Soderbergh's Black Bag, who also he did Presence as well.
Yeah. I do like Kate Blanchett and Michael Fassbender.
It's a really delicious movie. I really people like. I recommend people to watch Sinners. It's like the movie of the year so far until Mission Impossible comes out. But Sinners is. I mean, Black Bag is also like underrated and probably my favorite movie of the year minus Sinners.
That's probably gonna be the best horror movie of the year. Sinners.
Probably, I cannot wait for Weapons. Zach Kreger's Weapons, who's doing the one where the children disappear. If Julie Garner is a teacher, the children disappear. Where did they go? And there's been like subtle like teasers where you see kids running around at night on like cameras in the neighborhoods. Have you seen that?
No, I haven't heard of it.
What?
I heard of it.
Well, I'll show you at the end of the podcast. Yeah, like some of the teaser trailers, like there hasn't been a full trailer yet. But like the teasers that the studio is showing is like kids at night, like creepily running around. I'm like, what is happening? And the people that went to CinemaCon said like this is their favorite like teaser of the year, where it's like Julia Garner is a teacher, her class goes missing one night randomly. They don't know why. And Josh Brolin is a father of one of the children. He's like one of the main characters.
I think I saw a tweet about this, and I saw like 2 screen caps of the actors.
Yeah,
exactly. That's all I saw.
Yeah, so the parents wondering what happened, and Zach Kreger, again, this is a guy who did Barbarian, guys. So Barbarian, if you've seen Barbarian, it's a fucked up, crazy movie that goes places, a little bit of a tonal mismatch, genre mismatch. So he says this one's even crazier than Barbarian. I'm just super, super, super excited for it. But yeah, in terms of horror, I think Sinners and Weapons are going to be very different movies, but I think Sinners is going to remain probably the horror event of the year, at least. It's going to be very hard for this movie to be out of my top 5 by the end of the year, at least. Like maybe there's some movies I prefer a little bit more, because like I had the same feeling when I watched this in 2017 when I saw Get Out. Just similar Black directed horror movie that's much deeper than what's on the surface. In my 2017, that was one of the best years in cinema. Get Out was still in my top 5, but I had like Logan, Last Jedi, Blade Runner above it. I think Apes was above it too, but Get Out is just a phenomenal movie. So anyways, and then we have The Accountant 2, which we're going to be talking about. I think The Accountant 2, I think, was a superior movie too, which is crazy. Because I was looking forward to this movie for like 9 years. It came out in 2016. I was finally ready for it. I'm higher on the original Accountant than others. But I really had a blast with The Accountant 2. Really added things that I wanted them to. The story was fun. The characters are fun. And it was just one of the more joyous movies, especially given the hard subject matter of this particular story. Sure. But anyways, that all being said, that's the order of events for the day. Last of Us, Sinners, Accountant 2. Let's dive into The Last of Us. I gave my thoughts. I thought it was a really good episode. Nathan, do you agree, concur? What do you say, you fucker? What do you think?
Yeah, as I said, I'm sorry, last night, 11 out of 10, no notes. I can't believe the 10th scene was the whole episode. That's kind of crazy.
That's crazy. That was a long 10 scene. Very long.
It was. By the way, HBO Max is doing some fuckery where they keep displaying skip intro, of which there is none. As if it's like skipping a recap, and like I'll click it, and now I'm like in the middle of Tommy's morning. And then they prompted a second one during Ellie's therapy, and I was like, what the fuck? Stop it.
What the fuck?
I don't know what the fuck the glitch is, but I'm like, stop.
That's a glitch. Yeah, that's weird.
But I was like I clicked it, and then it just kind of like Tommy was in the room, and I was like, this isn't the beginning, is it? And I like scrolled through, and I fucking so I restarted, and I was like, 2 minutes in, stop. Yeah. As if there's recaps. There's not. That said, the intro does change. Recaps. Okay. I didn't get one. The intro changed with Ellie's alone now, the silhouette of the...
I know. I didn't realize that until after the episode. I'm like, oh, shit. And I was locked in. I just didn't realize.
I was sitting there, and I was like, please don't do it. And they did. I was like, it hurts.
That's sad. I love when intros change. This is the same person who did the House of the Dragon and Game of Thrones intros, and those shows change as certain events and characters die. I remember House of the Dragon season 2, a certain king died or got injured. And then you saw like the blood flow of the House of the Dragon opening change as a result. And this one, I like when openings change. I love when anime does it too, because anime is really hard to like change your opening, because they're like usually by some other studios and directors do somebody else's opening, and if it changes, you're like, oh shit, we're getting something good here. But anyways, this was dark and sad.
But this is great all around. I've been having no real big issues with any of the changes happening. I just kind of view them as like, okay, well, we're giving a deeper depth to some things, and then we're taking alternate routes with others, but we're going to end up in the same positions in the story. People feel like what's already been told is the only path to those events, and I'm like, that's just not true. And if it is, you're not a good storyteller.
Right. And it's weird. It's funny watching this as, me and you are devout players of the game. Not devout. I played it more than you, but like
that's why you're gospel to me. Like Evan's played this 77 times.
We both know the game though pretty well, but I like listening to podcasters, and I don't need to have my opinion, which is good opinion of the show, to be reinforced. But the people I listen to, like Chris Stuckman just released his episodes 1 through 3. I was like, I wonder how Chris feels about it. I remember listening to his Last of Us. I think he made a Last of Us Part 2 review. But either way, I know he's a fan of The Last of Us, season 1 at least. So I wonder what he's feeling about this. And he really liked it. He thought it was a really good show. And he said he really he felt all the right emotions for episode 2. And then he felt like episode 3 was really good. He was like, I felt like I wanted something different from this show. He feels like some of the things are too like similar a little bit, not criticism wise. But I was like, people online are not the same. People online are thinking this is drastically different. And like you said, it's really not. And there's another podcaster I listen to, the same podcast group that does like Survivor recaps. They also do Last of Us reviews. and they agree with some of the changes. Now, the people I listen to on this podcast, I forget the name of it right now, but they don't like the game as much as me and you. So they like some of the things over the game, which is an interesting perspective. Because there's still some things in the game that I prefer more, especially kind of in this episode. But overall, I like a lot what this episode has to offer. People are just, once again, I got to mention it, people are confusing different from worse. And they think different automatically means worse. And I'm like you. I'm like, it's different. The route's changing, but they're going to end up in the same place. The central themes are not changing. I think this is what people think. Like, they think certain decisions affect the themes, but the themes are not changing. Like, let's get into it here. One of the bigger shockers was that, like, after the impact, which, first of all, let's get into the impact before I get into the change. But one of the changes that's not in the game that you can't do because it's the game, guys, where you're following one character is the Tommy scene. The one that Gabriel calls Gabriel Luna, the actor who plays Tommy. He called this the one-man wake scene where you're just honoring the dead. In this case, Tommy's honoring Joel, or saying goodbye to Joel. And it was such a beautiful, no dialogue scene until he says, "Give my love to Sarah," for me, which I was like, "Holy shit!"
I was welling. This show is very good at just like within a matter of seconds making me well up with emotion. It's so well done. It's been so well done to get me this attached to not just like adapting the original story that I was emotionally involved with, but like the new performances getting me hooked all the same.
I agree. The performances are elevating this material in ways I didn't expect. There's a certain way of being engaged by live action performances versus the game. I'm not saying games is worse. I love Ashley Johnson. I love Troy Baker. But getting Gabriel Luna, hearing Bella Ramsey scream versus Ashley Johnson, like there's some really great stuff from both parties here. And yeah, the whole Gabriel Luna scene was just so beautifully done. Again, you can't make this in a game because you're following one certain character. But it was just so beautifully done. Cut to Ellie in the hospital. That was a packed hospital. I didn't know Jackson was built like that. This is a big hospital. They have a big town.
I thought they were doing something for a second where when Ellie woke up and she was getting treated in this big hospital, I thought she was flashing back, or at least I knew she was in present day, but I thought she might have thought she was back in the Firefly Hospital
in Utah.
Like thinking everything's happening again.
That'd been crazy. But yeah, she's actually still in Jackson. She's recovering. It didn't look like she got hurt that badly in the show. Maybe small nitpick or whatever, but like, yeah, Manny kicked her in the ribs. When I was rewatching that scene, you could hear her like you can hear a crunch or a break. I think he broke some ribs.
I'd have punctured a lung if
punctured a lung. Yeah, just like if you kick somebody hard enough in the ribs, it's gonna hurt.
Yeah.
You could kill somebody. So yeah, so Ellie was recovering from that, but then she just like guttural scream of pain and like trauma where she instantly remembers. She felt like she's just on top of Joel, and it just all comes flooding back into her in the instant, just screaming. I'm just loved it.
Yeah. Real quick, there's so there's a scene in SpongeBob where I think it's like the life. I think it's like follow me. There was like this lifeguard episode with SpongeBob. He's pretending to be a lifeguard.
Yes.
And he was like, "I wish I had a giant ice cream truck." And then it started like it was about to fall on him, and he was like, "And live," and I thought live, and then it stops.
Yeah.
So somebody tweeted online that they were like, oh, it was before the episode came out. They were like, I just realized Dina was smoking and drinking while pregnant. and then I quoted with the SpongeBob doing that, and I was like, 3 months later.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess what the show is doing is having her be pregnant, starting to be pregnant during that 3-month gap, which is smart. But let's talk about that, Nathan. The 3-month gap that people are going crazy over. That I didn't expect people to be crazy over. It shocked me. It took me a minute. I paused out. I was like, wow, Jalen, this is 3 months later. This is not like the game. Okay, press play. Continue watching. Well,
yeah.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't. I couldn't even remember how long the gap was in the game.
It's very short. Again, I love the game, guys, But honestly talking here, I love the game. But honestly talking, if somebody this big died, I want to spend some time soaking it in. And in the game, you do. You go to his house or whatever, but it's but you're in Seattle very quickly.
Yeah.
You go visit his house, you talk to Maria, and then Dean and Ellie are basically like 2 cutscenes later, they're gone. They pack up and they leave. I like soaking in the pain. I like soaking in the trauma. I like getting that collective feeling from the city, Jackson, about how they're all reflecting on not only Joel, but the people they lost as well. This is a big city, this big community. They lost people as well. And I like the show diving into that. There is something to say about, like, we had a 5-year time jump and now we have another 3-month time jump. But overall, I didn't really mind it. I think it is mostly very effective. And again, it's kind of necessary. Ellie automatically, because whenever we get a change, I have to think, like, does this ruin anything that happened in the game? Ellie, and I can't utter the sentence. Ellie automatically going towards Joel is what made Last of Us Part 2 great. No, that's not the truth. Like, Ellie going after Joel isn't what I think about, or automatically after Joel isn't what I constantly think about if somebody was to ask me why I love The Last of Us Part 2. I'm like, oh yeah, then Ellie eventually goes after Joel, or go after Joel's killers. It's like the time jump is so a non-entity for me. And it makes sense in the game. Even Neil Druckmann talked about it before I even mentioned it, or after I mentioned it with Jalen. And it's like, yeah, in the game, a game is action oriented. You finish one cutscene, you cut to black, you go to another cutscene, whatever, you do some things, but the game wants you constantly moving. The show is doing what the game possibly could never do. You're not walking around Jackson, going to town hall meetings, all that kind of stuff. You can't do that in a game. You have to be boom, boom, boom. And it works because you're feeling like you're angry. You're like, I want to kill Abby so badly. I need to go after that. I need to go now. Because you're a game player. You just saw your favorite character that you played as, Joel, die. So I like the aspect of Jackson having, faced not repercussions, but just facing the impact of what happened. Overall, I don't mind the time skip because the rush doesn't elevate the game, just like this time skip doesn't necessarily elevate anything. It just adds to it. You're just adding to the story that the show is telling you, and this is important, especially because unlike the game, we had the attack on Jackson. This huge, massive horde attacked Jackson. You think a week later that's going to be fine? They were still burning bodies the night of, or maybe days later. We don't know when that Tommy scene was, but like they were burning bodies. People were recovering in the hospitals. It would have been a ghost town if they left that early. So I like getting the again, the impact from the town. But I also want to say, this was mentioned in one of the podcasts I was listening to, that really really elevated why I loved last week's episode as much as I did as well. But I want to go into what they mentioned. So this isn't coming from me, but a big reason why the big horde fight scene worked was that they mentioned in last week's episode, and like I mentioned, the big reason why I liked seeing Abby's motivation up front and getting everything, because it all barrels down to the impact of Joel's decision when he lied to Ellie, when he killed all those fireflies to save Ellie. That was a dramatic decision that not only affected Ellie, but affected everybody around the world, because the needs of the possible cure that could have happened if Ellie were to have actually been, experimented on, the surgery. We don't know, but the world doesn't know either. There isn't no concrete, no matter what people say in the game, there is no concrete evidence one way or the other. You never really know because it never happened. But he mentioned how the horde can be seen as a gnarly, monstrous effect of what Joel didn't stop, or maybe could have stopped, right? By saving Ellie, by killing those fireflies, he not only killed Abby's dad and robbed Ellie of, importance, as Ellie might think about it. He also robbed the world of a cure. So this major horde could have been stopped. This attack on Jackson could have been stopped if Joel, wiped his hands clean and let Ellie go. Not saying he should have, obviously,
Yeah.
But it's just an impact of like, or just an effect of what of Joel's decision making. And I love that because then it retroactively in episode 2, it made sense when Joel turns around, he sees Jackson on fire. Again, that could have been part of Joel's decision because he saved Ellie. This horde, the evolving infected wasn't stopped, or could have been stopped, but wasn't. And then he turns around, he sees Abby, somebody else who was affected by his decision. So both ways, north and south, he's looking at the repercussions of his actions, which I thought made for, and on top of the Jackson thing just being really fun, entertaining, it really hammers home the effect of Joel's decision as well, which I thought was really cool, insightful stuff there. But yeah, going into this episode, I like how the town also has stuff to say about like what happened. I like the whole town hall meeting. I like seeing Ellie decompress about it all. One of my favorite performances from Bella Ramsey is when she's walking down the hallway afterwards, when she's finally let go, and she goes like from smiling, having guarding herself, lying, to like unmasking herself and being actually just dejected, depressed, and sad. It was a really good, like, slow walk down the hallway. I loved that scene.
Yeah.
But what do you think about her talking with Catherine O'Hara too before that?
Good stuff. I like the scene. I know it's such a tightrope act because Ellie is also keeping the secret of her blood and stuff. I mean, unfortunately, I don't think like we're of any level of equipped to have any other capable doctor outside of Abby's father to like try to extract cure from Ellie. So even if she was willing to give herself up in the present day, I don't think we could. But also, if that information were to get out, like she could be potentially attacked before.
Yeah,
The loss of.
Yeah, it was interesting because later on in the show, Catherine O'Hara was talking to Tommy about like Ellie being a liar. And yeah, Ellie was lying in that scene, but I think Ellie is honestly, usually, most of the time, pretty upfront with everything.
Mm-hmm.
That's just who Ellie is. She's the one who was screaming, "I'm infected" in episode 1. She hates that Joel lied to her. Ellie is a very upfront character. Even throughout the first game, she wants Joel to be honest. Just tell me why you won't, why can't you stick with me, Joel, when she's talking to Tommy or when they're at the dam. Ellie is a very upfront character, and she wants other characters to be upfront with her. That's just who she is. So it is pretty interesting and effective to see Ellie just like constantly lying in that scene. And like you said, she has to be. She can't be talking about like the effects of like being infected or not. But also, if some people are media illiterate, they really thought the porch scene didn't happen when Ellie said it didn't happen. Guys, it happened.
How in the hell do you take things so? I read that tweet too, and then I was scrolling down, and a person pointed that out, and then the OP replied, "I'm only 8 minutes in." I'm like, "What the fuck are you doing on here?"
Yeah, that's Is it Gen Z? I don't know who's after us. What's after our generation? I don't know. Whatever.
I guess I don't know.
But yeah, it's young people watching the show, tweeting with like, "Don't tweet while you're watching the show."
Yeah.
I always tweet at the beginning, and then I retweet at the end.
I don't mind live tweeting, but like if it's just like a quick like, "Oh fuck," and then you're back into it. You're not replying to people. Like
I was a huge live tweeter back in the day. I tweeted about like Arrow and the Flash, the CW shit, the 100. Like I used to live tweet that shit all the time. It wasn't until I got to a college party and I'm sitting on the couch and my friend comes up to me. He was slightly drunk, but he was like, "I'm pissed at you, Evan." I'm like, "Whoa, what'd I do?" He was like, "Your tweets, you're always spoiling Arrow every Wednesday." And I'm like, "I'm just live tweeting it." He was like, "Yeah, well, I don't watch it at 8. I'm like, "Well, I do."
Me.
I said that. But then at the same time, I was like, I'm gonna dial it down on like live tweeting Arrow in the Flash. I literally used to run home, guys. I used to eat dinner at my university dining hall like around 7:20, 7:30. Give me like 30 minutes to eat, and then I would run home and watch Arrow and the Flash every Tuesday and Wednesday. And yeah, I used to love live tweeting the show. But then now I'm just sticking to live tweeting Survivor because then everybody watches Survivor live if they can.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's just me. But yeah, like stop live tweeting the show, guys. Just
Sure.
be fair. But yeah, I'm with you.
To the point though of the time gap, I think there's a strength to it, with especially viewing the townsfolk and their feelings on the entire events, because everybody knows that anybody who's gone through grief knows that that doesn't go away after 3 months. Certainly not. As a matter of fact, it's probably still as fresh and raw as before. But now you've had time to like simmer with your thoughts and all the events replayed in your head and all your opinions formed on like what could have happened, what should have happened, what should happen next. All these different viewpoints and feelings, and I think that was expressed very well through the different opinions of the town hall, and makes the results of the vote even more impactful, and even more impactful that people like Ellie and Dina and presumably Tommy will be going against these votes moving forward. Because I especially loved when the votes were being counted, and like when a lot of the no's were coming in, Tommy was like looking over to like in like order of like the votes that were being handed. He was like, "You said no."
Did you see somebody next to him who was like wearing glasses, but he was looking like straight forward, like he couldn't look Tommy in the eye. I
wouldn't either. I was sitting there like, do I vote yes just for the people that they wanted, or do I do the best for their health? I don't know.
I would 1000% vote yes. It's not me going out there, and granted, I get it. It's like Jackson's safety, which by the way, 16 people is a lot of people. Maybe that was one of the reasons why. But at the same time, Jackson's a big city. We saw how big their hospital was. We see how big they are when they face off against that horde. Granted, maybe they might have lost a lot of people during the attack. But like 16 is a lot, but also Jackson has a lot of people, so it's fine. But
the wall's still not fixed.
The wall's still not fixed, so yeah, you'll be losing a lot of people. But yeah, it was a hard bill to pass. It was interesting though. Jesse saying earlier, like write your responses down. You're responding with anger. She's like, why do I have to do this? She's like, because you're angry, Ellie, and angry doesn't get votes. I'm like, Jesse, this is America.
It is, but well, now it's a new world. But
granted, I'm with Jesse. Anger usually doesn't get votes, but fear does. Fear gets votes. We know that, right? Like fear, given our recent election, it's less so about people being angry. That's part of it. But what certain candidates like Trump do, they prey on people's fear. We can't have these illegal immigrants come to our cities because the fear of what harm they could do when it's bullshit. So it's just like the fear elevates it. And I think the fear is what Seth embarks on in his plea. And what maybe Ellie, if she didn't take Jesse's advice, maybe she could have been more angry, but also pride on people's fear, which could have been more effective. You never really know.
Yeah, I do commend the writing of. I really love how Jesse's written. I really like his.
Good. What a reliable friend.
Yeah, reliable, responsible, but like empathetic, and I really like. It does leave his vote vague in the mindset because when he starts talking to Ellie, you get the sense like he would vote no, but when he like specifically tries to help her in the path that would get the council to yes, it makes you think. Well, I mean, would he vote for yes for her? It's kind of up in the air, and I know he would pick the best, most responsible instance, but it's like it's interesting, and the fact that there was only like 3 yeses and to 8 no's, like it makes you wonder, like, who? I mean, Tommy was a certified yes. I don't think Maria was.
Maria, I thought it would be interesting if she was no, but they confirmed, which I think. I haven't watched 3 of these now. I'm like, I don't know if people who have not watched the game or played the game should watch these after episode stuff because they bounce around spoilers a lot of the time. Even last week, Craig was talking about like, Abby, she's more of an anti-hero. I'm like, what are you doing, Craig? What are you doing? She just killed Joel. She's not an anti-hero. Yes.
You can't feel this yet.
Right? Like, yes. The show is giving us her motivations early. That doesn't mean people like it. Arguably,
it's like doing press for Return of the Jedi, and it's like, yeah, but Vader has a good heart in there after he's slaughtered.
Yeah, it's like no, he's not. Like so it's like finishing Return of the Jedi, and people are like, Vader's an anti-hero. No, he's the antagonist. He's bad, but he got redeemed at the end. Yeah, he's still the antagonist of the story. But like you can have Abby be the antagonist. Don't be afraid to say the word antagonist. She's the antagonist of the story. from Ellie's perspective, which is our perspective most of the time. Or at least for this season. So yeah, Abby is not an anti-hero, Craig. Not yet. Especially not yet. Just because you give us motivation doesn't mean people like her. Motivation arguably can make people more mad. And I've been processing this over the last week. I'm like, them giving us her motivation. I went a whole diatribe last week, but just also it's just like it makes you even more like, dang it, I understand why she's doing it, but I still don't want her to do it, obviously, right? So it's like it makes you more upset and sad and angry that it actually happens. But anyways, in the after talk, they did confirm that Maria did say yes. The actress thought I thought it would be no, but I had to talk with Craig, and Craig kind of convinced me that Maria would have said yes, specifically because Ellie brings up the whole justice angle, and that's something that Maria can really, as a previous lawyer or somebody in the defense system, I think she was a counselor or lawyer, one of them that was mentioned last season, but with her occupational history being within the justice system, she really liked the avenue of Ellie going the justice route to sympathize votes in that manner, which is effective, at least for Maria. I guess just wasn't effective for everybody else. But I want to go off of what you said with Jesse. I would like it if we all think that votes were Tommy, Maria, and Jesse. Jesse being the one Jesse is now the one that's we don't know. If when he comes to Seattle and comes to save Ellie, if he tells her, I didn't vote for you, that would be a great reveal. That would be great. Granted, I think he's going to say, yeah, I voted to support you. But I would hope the show does something different. I wouldn't be upset either way. But I think it would be really fascinating if he saves her. We love Jesse. We also I'm sorry, I voted no. That would be really good. That'd be really good. Especially given we know what happens with Jesse's character. So yeah, I'm with you though. I think young Mazino is just a great actor, and he's doing a very good job as Jesse, being a reliable friend, but also he's elevated in town now. I guess a lot of council members have died, so he's now part of the council. Very much, and more so than Anakin Skywalker in Revenge of the Sith. How can he pop? By the way, great experience. I saw that on Sunday. That was great.
I went on Friday. I was like, all right, cool. I'm gonna go on a Friday night, big crowd. I was so hyped. I was like, I'm gonna get some audience reactions. It's gonna be a hell of a time. And the film starts, and everyone applauds at the Star Wars. And I was like, let's go! And it's fucking crickets the entire runtime. And then a little small applause when the credits roll. And I was like, what the? And it felt so fucking weird and out of body, where I was we are chronically involved with this movie that there's a billion memes from it, and every meme hitting washing over me, and there's no response, and I was
I'm laughing I had to calm down because I'm laughing every 5 seconds, we're smarter than this, dying. It's we're smarter than this, and then the whole elevator sequence, Obi-Wan not dying from getting crushed by a big thing on the right side.
Evan, all these things are happening. All these things are happening to me, and it's dead silence. Fuck, this is where the fun begins. Y'all motherfuckers are dead inside.
Yeah, I was chuckling.
High ground, bitches.
Yeah, granted, I'm with you. My theater was very similar to that. No big applause, but I didn't mind it. I don't need to be it's a Sunday afternoon. I'm not getting the start with the biggest. Even though my theater was sold out, nearly sold out. The front area wasn't, but everybody in the back of the theater was super sold out. I'm not expecting people to go crazy during Sunday after Friday, I guess maybe.
Yeah, I did because it's Friday evening. It's effectively the opening day re-release, and the fact that they applauded at the beginning, I was like, "Here we go, getting me jazzed," and then nothing. And it's not like I owed it. I was just like, "Fuck," I kind of anticipated.
There's still nothing like seeing a Star Wars movie in theaters. I was watching this. I was like, when did the Phantom Menace re-release happen? That didn't just happen in 2019, did it?
It was 23. It was the Acolytes year.
It was 2023.
Maybe 24, right?
Or maybe that was it.
25th,
Last year.
25th anniversary. So yeah,
it came out. Phantom Menace was last year.
Yeah, it was early last year, I guess.
Okay. Because I was watching this, I remember being here for Star Wars recently. That's crazy. There's no way. I was like, the Phantom Menace. I saw the Phantom Menace. And that was not Sword Out, but that was fun.
I felt just while we're talking about, I felt oddly tired watching Revenge of the Sith while I was there. I was like, I figured I'd watch some other movies that day, but like it still was like, hey, I'm watching a Star Wars in theaters, but
That's
like I'm
crazy,
watching Nathan. Well, it's also because like I've seen this movie a billion times.
I'm with you. I was feeling tired towards the middle of the movie as well.
But going through like the droid attack and fucking the Utapau, and I'm like, yeah.
But at the same time, I'm like so energetic. That last hour is just, you can't replicate it. It's peak Star Wars.
He's cutting off Mace's hand. I'm sitting here like, Ahsoka's out there. That's crazy.
That's crazy. Yeah. But yeah, that movie is just a miracle. I love Revenge of the Sith so much. I might have to update my rankings, my Star Wars rankings.
I hadn't like sat to watch it since I don't think our commentaries, but like I was listening and I was like, wow, this dialogue. it's really funny. And the deliveries are really funny. Like again, it is like that instance where like it's the tired criticism of like, you know, them trying to like deliver the lines, but I am sitting here like, wow, they are trying to deliver some of these lines. George swung for the fences. Somebody made a great tweet that was like, George wants so bad to write comic books, and I was like, that is so true. You hear this dialogue, it's like, love won't save you, Padme. Only my new powers can do that. I was like, you've displayed none of these powers.
Yeah, right. Anakin's switch is still so like boom. But I don't, you know, I love this movie so much. But I'm like, is this better than Return of the Jedi for me? I don't know. It's hard.
I don't think so.
I don't know.
This movie's so good. I like this movie.
I love it. I'm watching it like, man, this movie rocks.
I like the tragic scale. I like it's funny. Again, I love Hayden, but I do hear some of the deliveries and I'm like, it is hard to deliver some of these. And then it did pop in my brain where I remembered somebody was saying like, Revenge of the Sith is really cool when you watch the Japanese dub of it.
Oh, I never did that.
And I was like sitting there, I was like, fuck that. If I was listening to like some intense Japanese voices for this Mustafar fight right now, that'd be pretty cool.
I would hit it. When Obi-Wan says like, I love Anakin, I'm like, this movie's 5 out of 5. I love
and you, yeah, but for whatever reason, I'm sitting here and I'm just like, he does say this. I'm so used to it.
It's good. But yeah, that's Revenge of the Sith.
I am trying to go again on Wednesday with a friend because I didn't get to go with him. He wasn't available, but I wanted to go to the opening. So we're going to go on the last day, and I'll be watching it again in the same big old auditorium. So hopefully it'll hit again then.
Hopefully. But speaking of revenge, Ellie is really paramount in this revenge. She gets turned down. But I like, I'm skipping over again, going all over the place. But I like the scene prior to that with Dina when she admits to Ellie that she lied. We already talked about how in the 3-month time span, she reported to Ellie that, you know, she got back with Jesse. That was a thing. I guess some people were upset about, but I'm like again, I think it doesn't. First of all, it doesn't matter because she loves Ellie. But second of all,
everybody's in a vulnerable state.
Everybody's in a vulnerable state. It feels what the show is doing. They're doing natural changes from the game. Because I don't think she gets. There's obviously no time to get with Jesse again post Joe attack because this happens the day after. Yeah. But because in the game, she's just pregnant because off screen stuff that happened prior to the game even starting. Mm-hmm. I like it the way we have it here, where she likes Ellie. She broke off with Jesse, but then they're on and off again. She already told us how they're on and off, and then we see the effect of that during the 3-month time span where she says on and off again. But I like how she said, I lied to you, Ellie, and these are the people I know their information. I was like, okay, it's the WLF. They live in Seattle. She was got that information from Eugene, another Eugene reference for, we are getting the Eugene flashback this season. We don't know what's going to happen. They, again, just referencing what they said last week, they said how Eugene was infected and Joel had to put him down. That's the story that everybody's going with. I think there's much more into the story that will be revealed. Somebody mentioned that I really like this idea that in the game, during the Joel Ellie flashbacks, what's so important is that with the museum, with every Joel flashback, you're getting added worry from Ellie about what might have happened at Utah. It's building up to Ellie going back to Utah and saying, you lied to me, Joel. Even in the museum, when people love how beautiful the happy last memory of the museum, even at the end of that, after they're leaving the museum, she looked in the walls, and on the walls in the blood, it's like fireflies was a lie.
Mm.
And Ellie looks at that, looks at Joel, and it's just like it's a big gut punch. She's like, wait, yeah, Joel told me fireflies were a lie, but is that true? And that like kind of spirals into the next flashback when when they fight the bloater in the cabin, and they see that fireflies had like recently left, but then they died, and then on top of that, then Ellie finally goes back to Utah. So it's a spiraling thing. I think the Eugene flashback is going to be effective. Like maybe Eugene figured out that he knew about what happened in Utah.
Oh,
and maybe that's why Joel killed him.
oh,
And that's gonna, Eugene's like, because Eugene was a firefly, he knows about the locations of other fireflies, in this case Seattle, which isn't a firefly, but like a contingent of that same group. So it's just like it's very interesting. I think that could be a factor of why Ellie is so like, sure, yeah, he was infected, which he probably could have been, but there's just more to the story. But anyways, I like seeing Dina talk to Ellie about like, okay, we got Owen was a big guy, Manny was the asshole. She doesn't know who Mel is, but she did mention Nora. Yeah, she says Nora, Owen, Manny. I don't know who the other one is. Mel. Come on, Dina. Know your characters. Play the game.
She injected you.
Right? She did. So then, yeah, and I love the way Ellie says Abby. Like, what's the girl's hair with the braid? Abby. And then Ellie says, like, Abby. It's like Dinkelberg.
I was sitting here and I was like, it's begun.
But yeah, I was like, you could really hear Bella. Bella did such a great job there. You can hear her like obsessive nature already. It's like, ooh, man, it's begun.
I do like the added touch of, the Ellie judging the wolf monogram and the logo. It's like named Wolf and drew a wolf, fucking dumbasses, and it's like, you're a firefly. It's all
right.
It's all mascots, whatever. But I understand the grudge that you have currently.
But yeah. And then a lot of this episode, which I think was smart, was Ellie and Dina possibly underestimating the wolves. You dummies.
I didn't realize how many were around.
Well, there's a shit ton of wolves.
I forgot.
There's a shit ton. They have tanks.
I had to remember, like, oh yeah, I did get stuck in that neighborhood for that level for a long time where I was across the street. And
Hillcrest?
Yeah, where I was like trudging through the fucking grass and like sniping the people in the windows.
Yeah, Hillcrest was a lot of it. But yeah, there's a lot of wolves. The dogs sniffing around. And you come across the wolves naturally. I saw that people were upset about this too, apparently, I think. Because you come across the wolves and Seraphites naturally in the game. In the game, you come across the wolves on Seattle day one. It's just you're progressively going deeper and deeper into Seattle. Next thing you know, you're near a gas station and you see, I think it's like 3 or 4. Yeah, because there's like 2 in the courtyard and then there's like 3 on the gas station from my memory. I'm not obsessed about the game. I think it's a game. But anyways, but yeah, so like you come across them naturally, while in the game it's just like we're getting it already. That kind of surprised me.
Yeah, well, I do. This does make sense. And every time, again, the people who are complaining is just like, what are we doing here? It's like, I'll tell you what we're doing here, a narrative. We're doing a different medium. You see, because, yeah, like you said, like we naturally stumble into like the situations with these different groups and like meeting them. But like in adapting and like confining to the narrative of television, we don't have time to just like stumble upon just like, oh, where are we now? Yes, these are the Seraphites. This is their backstory as you are here captured and we have to break out. It's like, we don't want to do that. We just want to get into the situations, understand what we're dealing with so that every play from every side is smart and understanding, and then we can continue with our developing of story.
1000% agree with that. Great point. Great points there, Nathan. Because I think while I do absolutely love the scene of Ellie in the jungle, Seattle day 2, day 2, you hear the whistle. I can't whistle, but you hear the whistle, and boom, she gets hit, and you're just like, what the fuck? And you have to take the arrow out, and it's awesome. We'll probably get that again, guys. But in a different way. It wouldn't be our first time. It would be a new time or it'll be the next time we're seeing them. But I like seeing the Seraphites. I'm kind of curious. One small nitpick is that they seem to be the Seraphites seem too sympathetic, but maybe that's just because of our of what was happening to them. This particular group of Seraphites was walking. Even Craig mentions it in the after show area of the show. After the episode, he says like, you see a daughter and a father, kind of symbolic of Joel and Ellie. But this time, these two die due to the threats of their world, while Joel and Ellie, they survived. It reflects and it hits. It just makes it too sympathetic for Seraphites who we know aren't like great. But we also know Seraphites are complex. So I'm hopeful that we're just introduced to this group of Seraphites who are nice. They get unfortunately massacred by the wolves. It just paints it as like the wolves are the bad guys and the Seraphites are the underdogs and they're not as bad as the wolves. When in the show, it's like, remind me of Revenge of the Sith, evil on both sides. Or
villains everywhere.
Heroes
on both sides.
Which I think Revenge of the Sith might still be my favorite crawl. It's perfect.
It is a great crawl.
Because when you're watching it, you're like, heroes on both sides. Who could possibly be a hero for the evil guys?
Villains. But war.
That's the point, right? It's like Count Dooku isn't a villain to the people who support him. He's a hero. Yeah. Which is why I think the crawl makes more sense after watching the Clone Wars. But it's still a ballsy crawl. Heroes on both sides. That part always stuck with me as a kid. I'm like, how can there be heroes on both sides?
It is funny that, and it's been depicted in the 2D micro series, Grievous stealing Palpatine. But it is like intense to read in a crawl, just like he swooped into the Capitol and stole the Chancellor, and he got away.
Coruscant's trash. It's very easy to sneak into Coruscant. I was reading a book, literally the book I'm reading right now called Into the Light. High Republic. Last YA novel, guys, read it. For High Republic. And this girl sneaking to Coruscant, I'm like, man, security is bad on Coruscant. Why do we have automatons controlling our security? Anyways, I mean,
Cad Bane sneaking to the whole Jedi temple. It's crazy.
Easily. Cat doesn't go. But yeah. I like seeing the threat of the wolves so early on. It juxtaposes Dina and Ellie's, at least Ellie's mostly, their assumption that the wolves aren't that big of a threat. We can sneak in there, we'll go in, we'll take them on. They're living this life of just like, oh yeah, we know who we're after. The wolves, they call themselves wolves. There might not, I forget what line it was, but like she said, like there might not be that many of them. And she's so wrong. As we see at the end of this show, it's like there's a whole army of them. And they're the ones that do this massacre. I think what Ellie is thinking is like, man, these wolves are even more dangerous, even more monstrous than I thought. Look at this huge carnage. And yeah, the wolves are bad. But again, I just hope that there's more complexity on the wolf side, which we'll get. Not everybody is like Isaac.
Right.
But I'm so hyped to get more Jeffrey Wright as Isaac. I think one small criticism of the game is that like Isaac is very underbaked as a character.
He wasn't in last season, was he?
No. He's completely. Was he?
I think so.
I don't think so.
He was teed up through like one of the. We were doing like that side, like the hunting Sam and Henry. That lady,
the Catherine. Yeah.
Yeah, wasn't she like?
She mentions Isaac.
I thought she did. I thought it was. I thought it was like a change that was teed up.
Oh, maybe. I forget. But
well, anyway.
But yeah, I think Isaac is pretty underbaked in the game. He feels his purpose as being like a hurdle for Abby. But like I wanted more, especially from Jeffrey Wright. But now we get him, and I'm like, already the teaser for next week. I'm just like, are you Isaac? He turns around. I'm like,
oh, he's back next week. All right.
Yeah. So he has a preview next week, and we see him like, I can't wait. So and people who have seen the episode tend to like, yeah, prepare yourselves for Isaac. So I'm excited. But yeah, I like seeing the threat of the wolves, the introduction to Seraphites, the notion of their whistle. Like, what did that whistle mean? Like, I like getting introduced to the Seraphites here. Again, it's different. They're not starting out as antagonists like we see them, but I think the camera does linger on like the hammers. I think these Seraphites are brutal. we are getting the scene of, somebody getting strung up by the Seraphites. So we're going to see the Seraphites doing their gnarly, cutting of the stomachs.
Yeah.
So I just like getting the different perspectives there. Hopefully getting the different perspectives later on in the season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good stuff. I do want to talk about Dina. With her situation with Ellie. I think it's wonderful. I think Isabel Mersad is doing great. She might be my favorite performance going on right now because she is such a delight of her relationship with Ellie. She's clearly all in on Ellie.
Clearly.
Literally, like, aside from the town hall and Joel's gravestone, both of which she was very supportive of Ellie in those moments. Every other scene with Dina and Ellie, Dina is flirting with her all the time, and it is wonderful, and it is clear. It is clear there's something going on.
Absolutely clear. I think the tent scene was very clear. Her supportive nature towards Ellie. I think this is something the game or the show is doing better than the game. Dina has a closer relationship to Joel in this show than she did in the game. And while in the game she's supportive of Ellie because she likes Ellie, she's supportive of Ellie. I like that in the game or in the show here. She's supportive of Ellie for one thing. She likes Ellie for another thing. But mostly she had a father-daughter relationship to Joel. This was a Joel that was much more, I keep always mentioning this every podcast, but this was a Joel that much more vulnerable, much more different Joel than what we get in the game, was much more of a hardened, killer. Which is one of the reasons why people are upset that he died like he did in the game. That there was a huge backlash because they're like, not my Joel. My Joel wouldn't fall for Abby stuff. I still get those responses. But this Joel, the one who's vulnerable and who's willing to listen to Abby do her whole monologue for a bit, this Joel was much more, receptive to his actions. He even teared up and went to therapy over what he did, even though he wouldn't admit it to himself, as we mentioned last week. I like that this Dina is so receptive towards him and really to support Ellie and in turn support Joel. I just love Isabella Mersad here as Dina. She's so good. And yeah, the tent scene is very, it's interesting. Rainy. It's rainy, a lot of great rain, 10 out of 10 rain. It's interesting because she's bugging Ellie. Ellie isn't smiling the whole time. She's not having a great time with Dina. But it's complex because she's bugging Ellie over her anxiousness. She's talking about Jesse being is Jesse always sad? Why is she talking about Jesse in front of Ellie? What's going on here? Do you like Jesse? She admitted that she got back together with Jesse in front of Ellie. Ellie, likes her. So it's what's going on here? How was the kiss? So it's it's hot and cold for Dina. It's
I think
very it's more interesting. I like this a lot.
Absolutely. I think it is more so Dina into Ellie at this moment, even though she is bringing up Jesse. It's more so to get to the point where she is concerned that she does notice a sadness within Jesse, and she has the concern that she may be a reason for it.
Yeah.
It may just be him, but it may be her as well. And she's talking to her closest friend, which is a natural thing to do about talking about your existing relationships with people.
Yeah, I thought it was very natural. She's worried just as much as Ellie. Oh, by the way, you didn't mention it. When Dina throws up after the carnage at the fight, that was morning sickness. That was not her.
I immediately clocked it as morning sickness, but then they were like, "Hey, look at this mass grave of smelly bodies and a child dead," and I was like, "Well, that would also be sickening."
That would also be sickening, yeah. And you hear the bees, so it probably really stink. Yeah. But it's Dina is just as hardened as Ellie, and Ellie didn't really budge.
Yeah, I think it'll be an instance where people watching, if they're unfamiliar, they're watching that scene oh, okay, yeah, that is a sickening sight. But then when Dina does it again, you're like, what's going on here?
Yeah, so I'm glad they're keeping that in there. I was worried, I'm are you really removing the the pregnancy aspect? But it's sticking there. Now we just got to hopefully check off that Mel was pregnant as well. I hope they do that.
I'm certain they will, because that is such an important moment of Ellie's realization while going on this massacre.
Yeah, it is. But it's also very dark. But the show is dark too, so very dark. But yeah, I'm with you. I think it's just while there might be hiccups in the relationship, right? Not even hiccups, like because Ellie likes Dina and Dina obviously likes Ellie. It's just that they haven't like fully kissed or made out yet. Slight spoiler, but me and you both play the game, so it's not really a spoiler for us.
Yeah.
So slight spoiler for the episodes ahead. Somebody did tweet out that like, yeah, it's coming. Like on top of the Ellie and Dina scene that we get next week about the music scene, which I can't wait to see. The show is not going to shy away from them having a romance at all, which people are surprised about.
I was seeing people tweet about fucking like HBO's erasing the gay relationship, and I was like, did you watch the Bill and Frank episode?
That's wild. That's wild.
Because a mostly holy episode devoted to Bill and Frank that shared a very intimate scene with them that was not shy.
No. People are over exaggerating the whole like I'm not gay, you are. So how was you kiss girls? So it's like Dina's not gay. What? And it's just like
Dina's exploring being bi.
Right? Like I didn't want to tweet it out because I didn't want the people to come after me. I'm like coming from a straight man, but I'm like, she's bi. But granted, I'm like I'm not gay, I'm not bi, so I don't really know it's like how that hurts the community. But I'm just like, she's not gay though. But I think the people that were upset were saying like Dina would never say this. I'm like, this is not the game, Dina. This is show Dina, and show Dina is different from game Dina. How hard we keep saying this? Like I'm so tired of like this Joel wouldn't go to therapy. He probably wouldn't. That's why it's called the show Joel. It's different Joel.
This isn't like a Star Wars instance where it's like there's a game and there's a show and they're both canned to the same timeline. These are like two different
right. And I was thinking about this recently in terms of adaptations. Like this isn't like if this was a book adaptation, this would be different. Because I'll be right there with you guys. I think if you're adapting a book, it's different than adapting a video game. Because adapting a book, it's easy to go one for one, and you mostly should.
The narratives are structured similarly.
The narratives are structured similarly. Like you're just read this great dialogue from the book, and you'll be good. There's some cases
you have to build the game narrative around the gameplay itself, because if you don't have a game for your players to play and invest time in.
Yeah, a game script is different from a book script. You know what I mean? Not even a script, but a book pages and dialogue.
Like you'll have a cutscene going. You'll have a cutscene going, and it'll be like a brand new information. Oh, but they're getting away. Come on, hop in the Jeep. And then now you're driving through like fucking terrain. And then once you're into there, it's like, oh, we're stuck in this new location, but now it's a new location to explore. Walk ahead 30 paces, shit like that. Yeah.
Like one of my all-time favorite games, Uncharted 4, another Naughty Dog game. Like if they were ever to adapt Uncharted 4, I would go in wanting them to change some things up. I think Uncharted 4 is a perfect game. Perfect. 10 out of 10. But you have to naturally change things up. There's some things where like the game is so game focused. You can't really replicate it, nor should they. So I'm always willing for them to change game adaptations. Books are different. Comics are also like do whatever you want. Comics are crazy. So it's like anyways. I just been thinking about that. But yeah, what else should we talk about? From here, Last of Us. Overall, great episode. I also the quiet morning scenes. Ellie at the grave was beautiful. The whole putting the coffee grinds on it, beautiful. Very Ellie good. Crying on Joel's jacket was beautiful as well.
I was about to say, I love that so much. I like when she first enters the different rooms. Like she saw her room she was in before she moved into the garage, and Joel hadn't.
That was crazy because I don't think that was in the game either. But like Ellie had, maybe it was, but like Ellie had her own room. I'm like, oh wow, and yeah, we know she moved out, but like seeing the astronaut thing, the mattress is gone. It was really cool.
That was good. I love that. When she went into, I think it was Joel's room, I saw a hat on the nightstand, and I am clocked that must be the hat that gets tossed on the dinosaur in that museum.
Oh, I didn't notice that. That's cool. That's good. Yeah. So they're going to do that scene, you think, putting the hat on the dinosaur?
I think so.
That'd be great. But if they didn't, that'd be fine. Cool. That'd be fine too.
Like, sure.
Yeah.
I'm saying, and yet at the same time, I'm like, you better do the fucking take on me, fucking guitar.
They have to. Or they will. That scene is vital. But putting the hat on a dinosaur, I would love it, but it's like it's not ruining a core theme of the game.
Yeah. Especially when you've already done the giraffe sequence from the first one.
Yeah.
That was just a fun callback.
So what else? People have been saying like Seth redemption arc. I'm like, he's just egging Ellie. Like, this isn't me taking apart what people have been saying online afterwards, but like, it's not a redemption arc. He's egging her on to do a bad thing.
He said he was the voice in the town hall that was arguably the worst morally. Yeah. For the town, like it's the fear mongering, like you said, in the instance of goading the people. Yeah.
And granted, we're supportive of Ellie. So when Seth is saying that, we're like, okay, yes, Seth, be with our character, be with Ellie, because we want Ellie to get vengeance. Obviously, she just killed Joel, but at the same time, at least I guess we're different because we know what's ahead. But it's like this journey is not healthy for Ellie. It's not resolving anything by the end of this game. It's like by the end of this game, you can't utter the words, Ellie was right to go after Abby. She wasn't.
Honestly,
but at the same time, it's like, I get it. Yeah, characters make bad decisions, and we love them for it.
And we know it's a haunting factor. Honestly, her screaming in the hospital is a great prelude to the after effects of killing Abby's crew and then being on the farm. For those similar situations. Also, didn't the gravesite kind of feel like the location for their farm?
1000%. I think this will be reusing that asset for sure. Because I guess at the end of the game we knew that like they weren't that far from Jackson. That was a great reference to the end of the game. But yeah, I'm excited to see more of the Wolves next week. We do see Manny in one of the Seattle towers.
Yeah.
With that news station. Maybe. Oh, big part. Let's discuss this. No Tommy. So in the game, Tommy leaves before Ellie and Dina leaves. Ellie's upset, like she left and he told me I couldn't go. Fuck that guy. And she goes after him, but also on her own vengeance story. And
also,
Seattle
Maria wants them to get him back.
Exactly. Seattle Day 1 is mostly Ellie following in the footsteps of Tommy, who's kind of ahead of them. He kills a couple of them. They go into a hotel room. They see that Tommy had tortured somebody. They follow his steps towards. They look up at the radio. They hear gunshots at a news station. They follow Tommy to the news station. They see some wolves hung up. They're like, this is Tommy's doing, or maybe it wasn't Tommy's doing. We don't know what's going on here. So they're in the footsteps of Tommy a lot of the time. And a lot of Ellie's notion, the way she's able to maneuver around town is because Tommy's causing this chaos and she's able to go, X, Y, and Z because there's just so much chaos because of Tommy. Tommy doesn't leave here. Granted, I'm going to be patient about this. I think it's critical that Tommy goes to Seattle. I think that's part of the big theme of the show. So I'll hold my thoughts until we see later on. But I believe they'll just move around the order of events. I think Tommy will go to Seattle.
Yeah,
I think he just this time he just comes after Ellie. So instead of Ellie following in Tommy's wake, Tommy will be following in Ellie's wake. And I think we already know because of the trailers that Jesse follows them. That's part of the game. Spoiler alert. Jesse goes to Seattle, and I think Jesse will inform them, yeah, Tommy left too. I think that'd be an information reveal that, hey, Tommy's here too. And that'll be something as well.
I think I feel like we talk about this every episode. But I think the situation is going to be the role reversal between Tommy and Ellie in the sense that Ellie takes off first. Tommy didn't because he has a child and he has something anchoring here. He's both a father, a husband, and a townspeople. A big leader in that regard, and like the defense leader really of the whole town. But with Ellie and Dina both running off, especially if I don't know if Jesse would be aware if Dean is pregnant, but like if he did have that knowledge, that would also be okay. So no, but even so, them both running off and being very susceptible to everything out there, Tommy wouldn't want to lose the last bit of Joel still walking around. So
yes, great point, Nathan. This is why we have you on the podcast. This is why I created the YouTube channel. This is why I brought Nathan onto my podcast, guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, Nathan Rojas, the real one.
My names have been Nathan. Funny enough, our names have just been switched this entire time. We've been lying to you guys for 154 episodes.
It's crazy. He's the Hispanic one.
Yeah, exactly. I'm my thinners. My dad's half Hispanic.
I'm 1/8 black.
I'm 1/8. Get the
Afternoon,
fuck off
my octoroon.
The whole Mary dialogue, the whole Mary discourse is hilarious. She's part of us. I'm half black. No, you're not Mary, but you are part of them. It's interesting. Anyways, yeah, I'm with you, dude. I think Tom, and this bringing me to the last part I want to discuss before we move on, is the Tommy and Catherine scene. Now, granted, I would say a scene that I'm kind of bummed we didn't get, but I understand it, is the whole scene of Ellie and Tommy talking. I think it's one of my favorite scenes from the game, where Tommy comes to Ellie the night of, or the following night, I forget when, the same night or the morning. He knocked on her door. I thought we were going to get it when somebody knocks on her door, but it was Dean. Okay, that makes sense. But it was Tommy in the game, and Tommy's telling her, like, basically, like, you shouldn't go. I know you want to go, but you shouldn't go. It's reckless. And that's when she mentions, they kind of reuse the dialogue a little bit when she's yelling at Tommy at the beginning of the episode, where she says, like, Joel would have come after you if you died. Yeah, because Joel was reckless, and you're like him. Don't do this. There's a town. You can't. He's like giving her reasons. We got to kick care of Jackson. It's dangerous. You don't know how many there are. It's reckless. Joel would have done it, but like that doesn't mean that you have to follow in his footsteps. He's given her all these reasons. But what I love about the scene is that Tommy leaves anyways. So retroactively, you can look back at that scene and be like, Tommy is telling her this, but he's mostly trying to convince himself because he's also afraid. He also has Maria, but he also wants to leave. And that's why I like that scene a lot. We don't get that in the show. This is unfortunate, but we do get a Tommy and Catherine scene, which I think was them trying to use their new character to convey the same messages. And in this Tommy and Catherine scene, the baseball game, by the way, why are we in the outfield? If there's a foul ball, you're done. But granted, it's these little kids, so maybe it's like there's no fast 90-mile-per-hour ball that's going to go flying into the outfield.
I mean, I don't think the field's super big, and I don't think anybody's home running it.
But I mean, it's dangerous. I wouldn't want to be in the outfield. I played outfield when I played baseball. It's dangerous. But granted, I was in like middle school baseball. But
I'm sure it's all in the city limits, right?
Yeah, but she was right. She was like right there. She was like she was right there on the field.
Oh yeah, she was close. Yeah, okay.
That's what I'm saying. She was like right there. I'm like, step back a little bit. Anyways, the purpose of this scene is for Tommy to reflect on his responsibility to Joel. And what I like about this is something that you couldn't really get from the game. In the game, Tommy and Joel are brothers. They have a brotherly bond. But in the show, their bond is much more than just like brothers. In the show, now we have Tommy having a kid. Ellie was Joel's kid. So they're both brothers, but they're both bonded by having children in their lives. And now with Joel gone, Tommy feels responsibility not only to his own kid, but to Ellie now too. So he's afraid of Ellie's possibility of just like leaving, the dangers of Ellie. They talk about Ellie lying. She's a liar. She's going to lie, all that kind of stuff. He's trying to understand how Ellie feels. But also, similar to one Joel brother, worrying about Ellie in episode 1, but also deeper, he's like lying to himself. Hence the purpose of the Joel in Catherine, the Joel in Joel therapy session. In this case, I think Tommy is genuinely worried about Ellie, her lying, and how she's really feeling. But also, I think you could interpret the Tommy scene with the therapist here about him being worried for himself too. He's also very nervous about like how he's feeling, how he is processing everything. And I think it's also important to see like if Tommy does end up leaving, which I think he will, we can look back on this Tommy and Catherine O'Hara scene and be like, oh, he was also talking about himself in that scene. He also was nervous and wants to go. And they're talking about the whole nature versus nurture for Ellie, but it could also easily be applied to Joel. Maybe both these brothers are just reckless, whatever the last names are, Miller, the reckless Miller brothers, because they both end up leaving anyways. But yeah, I think in general, I think Tommy will end up leaving. It'll just be different. Now, would that affect any theme from the show or any theme from the game? Tommy leaving first versus leaving second? I don't think it does. I'll have to wait for execution to see.
I don't think it does. I think the more important instance is Tommy later when Ellie has stopped her journey, and then Tommy eggs her on to keep going and guilt her back into it.
That'd be the bigger part for sure. Maybe that'll be different too, because in that case, Tommy didn't have a kid. Now Tommy does have a kid, so him leaving the kid will be heartbreaking. But yeah, Tommy was affected by this. The show didn't shy away from that at all, which I like. Gabriel Luna is such a gift.
Do Tommy and Maria split up in the game off screen during the events?
I think post the events. Yeah. When Tommy's like healing and he's yelling at Ellie, I think going along with what you were saying, I think that's when they presumably split or whatever, but I'm not sure.
Because if his drive for revenge gets in the way of his family in that sense, and then he feels he still needs to close that gap of revenge in order to put it behind him to then fix his relationship.
1000% the show's going to extend on that. Because while that is a great scene, I think the show is going to do something a little bit different. Maybe in the show we'll get an argument between Tommy and Maria that we didn't get in the game. We see Tommy yelling at Ellie, which is great. It hurt. But I can see Tommy yelling at Maria, saying, "You weren't there, Maria. He's my brother." Right? I could see him yelling at that. And then imagine the baby being in the room too. Like, I think the show can elevate that as well.
I can see maybe even like if there's an argument for going after Ellie in the first place. I'm like, Maria maybe doesn't want Tommy to go like in this moment because again they're all vulnerable, but Tommy obviously wants to go get her. Like maybe he gets in the shouting match. Like I can't lose another niece situation.
I can see them surprising us. Yeah,
anything's possible. And it all leads on the same road. So whatever just makes my heart hurt more, I think is a well done choice.
Yeah. One last thing, guys. Just go along with the process. Be patient with the show. I've really liked the last 3 episodes. The second one was a phenomenal episode. This one, it wasn't as good as the second one, for a lot of reasons. But it was such a vital, necessary, and important show or episode to focus on the community of Jackson. I know we don't care about the community of Jackson. Well, you should, idiots.
Yeah.
I think one last point, the community of Jackson, in the same episode that we're getting the community or teasing of the community of the Seraphites and how they operate with the whistles, and the community of the wolves and how they operate with the massacre and the big, we don't know how they operate, but there's a lot of them. We'll explore how they operate. But the season is exploring the different communities. How is Jackson different from the Seraphites and how the Seraphites are different from the wolves? How are these communities different from each other and unique? And how does Ellie, traverse all that? And Abby as well, season 3. But we'll wait and see. But yeah, that was a long discussion. Let's talk about Sinners. Best movie of the year. We don't have to go scene by scene for this, but man, this movie is beautiful. Beautiful. I think the beauty of this movie is Sinners. Ryan Coogler's magnum opus. And I have loved every Ryan Coogler movie. The only movie I've seen is Fruitvale Station because I know the ending and I know it's gut-wrenching. And it's a personal Black story that I remember hearing about in the news. And it's just like, oof, I don't want to go through that again. But that's the only Ryan Coogler movie I haven't seen. It's the same reason I don't watch like 13 Years a Slave, because it's like, oof.
Right.
Like I get it. No disrespect to the people that made those movies.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love Black Panther. Me and you like Black Panther too. Not a perfect movie, but like a great sorrowful movie.
Yeah.
And then Creed is just one of the best movies of all time. Creed is just phenomenal. It's a great sports movie.
Creed's great.
And yeah, I think this one is such a personal movie for Ryan, and he talked about his grandfather as well. But I adored how he blends music, in particular Black music, but I think music as a whole is generational and universal. So while it does touch on Black music, I like how in the most pivotal scene of the year, the whole montage scene, it dives into the history of Black music, the blues, and how it impacts other cultures outside of the Black community as well, and creates this generational, universal, applicable experience to a lot of different communities, and how the Black culture kind of seeps through there, and how it affects their community, their family, in ways that was just so heartfelt and impactful for the characters and audiences in turn. It was just such a great scene. And overall, I think this is a very character-rich story. You know, Ludwig Göransson's score is just beautiful, incredible, every word in the book. While also just being a straight-up entertaining flick. This movie is so funny. It's, horrific at times. I wouldn't even. It is a horror movie. It's vampires and some gnarly shit. But then, man, the ending is just like, I remember watching this jail. I'm like, if they do this, I'm like, I always say, like, if they do this, and then it's movie like 5 out of 5, and they did it at the end with him looking like at his wife. I'm like, oh, like that sealed the 5 stars for me. I'm like, that encapsulates the whole movie for me about, like, generational loss and being in love. Me, and I think this whole podcast, you as well. It's like, if a movie dives into the aspect of love in a creative and heartfelt way, then you won me over. It's what The Last of Us does, and it's what this movie did in space. It's just outstanding. Oh, and I think my new Michael B. Jordan best performance. I think. I think I would easily say Adonis, but with my favorite Michael B. Jordan performance. But I think this one, despite him being in 3 Creed movies, I think this might be my favorite Michael B. Jordan performance, because he playing Smoke and Stack is quite the risky play here. You could have had 2 actors here, but they didn't. They had Michael B. Jordan play 2 characters. I think that was important and flawless, and he was flawless. Yeah. What are your thoughts? I thought you hate this movie, right?
Oh, hey now.
You're an all-star.
Hey now, as resident Evan Harris, I think this is phenomenal. No, yeah, I genuinely do. I genuinely, like, I was watching and I was, immediately impacted. I was like, yeah, this is very well done. And then it wasn't long. It might have been like when they started doing the long take where they went from one shot to the other to then back over, and I was like, I felt like I was like buckled in. I was like, I think we got it. I think we got the win here. And it just was nonstop with just the pacing was wonderful. The cinematography, the atmosphere, the lighting, the music, the performances, everything was just down to 11 with this. It was wonderful. The sequence, I was so blown away with the musical sequence through the different generations, not only of like the past but of the future as well, incorporating just everything. I was like, oh my god, they are just
it kept going,
and the fact that it did go to the future and everyone was just dancing around like through time flawlessly, and it was all mixed together. Like, I gotta go listen to that fucking track, dude. It's so cool.
Oh, dude, yeah, I've not sat down and listened to the score yet, but I 100% have to. I'm with you, and dude, it's something I would never expect watching the trailers, but the antagonist being so compelled, not by the need for blood, not by the need for, like, I've got to kill every mother effer on this planet. No, he's compelled by the music, by Sammy's right, Sammy.
Yeah, he use
By
him.
Sammy's music, he wants. It's such a creative idea that I would have like who thought of this? Well, Ryan did, but like I want Sammy because I want to have that, the generational longing, that desire to to be with like people from the past and the future, that like that everlasting, that need to be everlasting. And his music is everlasting. So the vampire, I'm trying to look at the names here. He desires that.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Oh, Remick. Yeah, Remick. Jack O'Connell, guys. Wow, fantastic.
He was really great.
Her tale of a party.
Our tale of party. Yeah, he was so good. The whole sequence where the whole group is outside doing the cult dance to the Rocky Road to Dublin was phenomenal. I already
That was hilarious.
was a big fan of that song.
Oh,
Being like into Irish music, that's one of like the biggest Irish songs, and it's one I like so ingrained in. So as soon as it just hit in IMAX, I was like in my fucking seat. I know they're the villains, but I'm like, damn, the pipes are amazing.
that music, that was the music in this. This is really good, really good. Speaking of music, the song that plays during the credits, you see it to the very end of the credits, right? I know you.
Yeah, I got both end credit scenes.
Okay, good.
I was gonna ask you, sir, man who leaves.
I always leave. I always leave. But for special movies, I stayed for Revenge of the Sith. Do you guys watch the Revenge of the Sith post credit scene? That was really good. It starts with Darth Vader. I'm kidding.
Just breathing.
It just starts a New Hope. But I like the beautiful original song. I forget who plays it. That plays during the credits. I was like, this could win, because a lot of the best original song nominees are songs that play during the credits for movies. But I thought this one was just so beautiful and heartfelt. I was like, who is singing this right now? Because it was really, really touching. I'm just sitting here absorbed in like the mid-credit scene and then the post-credit. I was just like, this is very, very, very good. But yeah,
back that there were multiple credit scenes, and effectively like the first post-credit is like the actual ending.
Yeah, I saw somebody say like, why wasn't this just the ending of the movie? But I'm like, I think the ending that we got is important. Where it ends,
in fairness, it is, because even like while the credits are going, the footage is still playing. It's still popping in as the credits are going, so it doesn't really like break. It is a wonderful scene, though. I do like the.
But sorry to go off, but like it is like, I think people have just gotten so used to Marvel movies where it's just like movie ends, mid credits. This one felt natural. It's the definition of the right kind of mid credit scene of a right one, where it's like, if you left during this, you still got the full impact of the movie. You still got everything the movie's trying to tell you. But yeah, like you said, this one feels more like natural epilogue-esque, where everything just has a great closure to it.
It actually works with like the disconnect of time, in a sense, which I really liked about that. I really love the aspect of the vampire persona taking over, and it does kind of teeter a line of what's real and what's not, in the sense of projecting the idea that when the vampire persona takes over, the original soul is effectively trapped inside and needs to be freed through the killing of the monster. But then at the same time, when you do get to like that final scene post credit with Sammy and Michael B. Jordan's character, and they share that embracive hug, and they don't kill him. Like they don't turn him, but they also don't kill him. They let him live out his life in a sense, and they admire his music and stuff. And I was like, is he still in there? What is real?
Yeah, this was Stack, by the way. The Stack was the one that died, I think. Yeah. And he said some of the most beautiful words in the movie. But I'm just like, oh, these are words I'm just gonna remember always. In terms of like, I always remember that last night. That was the last night I was with my brother. That was the last night I saw the sun rise for the first time, or for the last time, or whatever. I'm like, oh my God, that was such a beautiful sentiment.
What is grief?
Like, right? That I didn't expect. Like my brother the sunrise, things I would never experience again. I think that's what's so important about this movie, this aspect of time and experience and something you will never be able to experience again. The aspect of blues is so transcendent, so generational, so emotionally powerful beyond words. And that's why it's so important that Sammy sticks with it, despite, the words from his priest, his own father saying like, there's only one or the other. You got to get rid of your, destroy this weapon, destroy this. It's like, no, like this is a sign of my cultural identity. And I needed to persevere. Because if not, it literally saved his life. And maybe it saves other people's life through his music as he, pursues his career.
Such a great guitar too.
Oh, so great. And I just love the aspect of him just continuing to pursue his dreams and it having an effect on these like antagonists in Stack and Mary, who let him live because they respect him. They respect his music and what he's doing, and how it impacted them. Even though they're living a cursed life as well. I mean, these are vampires who live who have to stay alive during the nighttime. Who can only enjoy life during the nighttime.
Yeah,
they don't have this cyclical, way of life, which again is what Remick desires. And Remick's such a fascinating antagonist because he's not after just full blood and world domination. He's after specifically Sammy's music. I just thought it was such a smart narrative choice.
I agree.
And I think just the aspect of the vampire is such a great tool. People who suck blood, who just they're leeches. They're kind of they're leeches on people's soul and their heart and their blood physically. But there's a reason it's vampires and not werewolves, right? Because in terms of Black culture, it's just or just any culture really, in terms of the white man or an oppressive force taking what's yours.
Yeah.
And that's why there's a whole beautiful, great KKK sequence at the end too. It's there's oppressive societies taking away people's culture, their identity, especially during this time of the 1930s, I think it was. Funny that we got an Al Capone reference, but this aspect of white culture taking away what's theirs is similar to vampires, taking away people's lives, literally sucking the blood out of people's lives. Yeah. So very, very cool.
They were literally teeing up the idea of just they were gonna come and massacre your place, and I stopped that. So you could trust me, you could join me, but it's all the same. It's all the same oppressive force.
There's a great meme when somebody's Remick's reaction when they called him KKK, and he's just it's I'm not KKK. How dare you? I'm just a vampire. It's wow.
We champion all diversity. he's very into it. I love that. I love the just inherent vampire lore that they the traditional weaknesses that vampires have. They're doing the garlic stuff and everybody eating the clove. I really like the struggle to get one of them to eat it. It's just just do it, man. And he's choking because it's just fuck, the garlic's strong.
Every movie has to have a reference to the thing.
Yeah. Well, one of my favorite is the instance of being invited in to a
that
domain.
Was so cool.
I really love it. And I was wondering if they were gonna do it. That's always my number one thing I look for in a vampire or anything. I'm just are they gonna allude to any wording where they need to physically be invited in? And sure enough, they were doing everything, and they were very smooth about it. They were just you're gonna step aside, you're gonna step aside and let me in. And it's oh yeah, of course. And bam, you go in. And
isn't that just right off what we got in Nosferatu as well, in terms of Dracula needed permission from the wife or whatever.
Maybe I don't know if that did. That was more so just the haunting, you must surrender yourself. But in this instance, well, they did. That was actually one of my favorite gags of. I know I wasn't too big on Renfield, but he had literally a welcome mat that said, "Come on in." He's fuck. Dracula's over there. That's a really good one. But I really love the sequences here and just the evolution and when they start to pick up on what are you saying? What do you mean invite why would I have to invite you? You've been coming and going all night. Why would I need to? Like, what are you
That was
talking about?
so
Why are
good.
you acting suspicious? It's like, we're just trying to be friendly. Cornbread's hilarious.
Cornbread was great. I think Omar or something, but yeah, he's such a great actor. And
Omar Benson Miller.
Omar
I didn't
Benson,
realize
yeah.
he's the voice of Finn in the Lego specials for Star Wars.
Oh wow, cool! Wow,
Yeah,
that's great voice acting.
yeah. Yeah, he's always a delight to see. But yeah, that was a funny sequence. I love that going on. I really like just like how kind of a little stupid the vampires are, where they're trying to act like normal. Yeah, let's go, come on, and like someone's getting their face chewed off. He's like, "Come on, honey, let's go home.
Yeah, it's
Let's
like
go. I got the car running.
yeah,
His face gets you. What's wrong with you?" It's like, oh, it's
yeah.
fine.
That's fine. Yeah, the drool. It's comical while being serious. It's a really magical thin line where it's like it's funny at the same time as much as it's frightening. Because
Yeah.
it's like, what? Why are you just having no reaction? But yeah, the whole cornbread scenario was hilarious, and it's like, why are we gonna? You've been walking in and out of here. We've known you for years, and now you're asking for permission to come in. What's really going on here? It's like, and then the way his mouth opens up to try and bite Smoke's arm is just like, I was like, whoa! It's like.
It's really
Crazy.
scary when they try to like snatch you out into the open.
And then Mary's scene when she's up front, that was so heartbreaking. I'm just like, no, like
that
Jesus
hurt,
Christ. Yeah. Mary's such a great character. What a 10 out of 10. Speaking of your Dina tweet, it's like 10 out of 10, no notes. Haley Steinfeld in this movie was just magical, fantastic.
I don't think this was in the movie itself, but she has a full like sung song on the soundtrack for Sinners, and it's really good.
I gotta listen to that. That's cool.
It definitely would fit with like not the dancing through time scene, but like just dancing in general inside of the club. It's a great fit there. Delroy Lindo was phenomenal in this. He is always phenomenal in everything, but like he is very entertaining, compelling, just being that old performer and with the story behind him.
Yeah, Delroy Lindo was really the heart and soul of the movie. He's a funny character that gets into the trauma of it all, and that was executed so brilliantly in that car scene, talking about the trauma of the past, his best friend getting lynched in front of his eyes, that fear that he's just reflecting on, that really hits, and it kind of the way that spirals into a song that's so jubilant from Sammy. That was a whole brilliant drive scene that I'll be thinking about for the whole year, because it was filled with all this trauma. You can hear the echoes of the pain within like the score. It was just such a great line, or great delivery monologue, and all across Delroy Lindo's face, you can just exude that pain. That's why he's drinking so much. And it was just such a great character. What's up, Geek Ledger? The most interesting information of the welcoming of vampire inside trope was an indie movie called On Hallowed Ground, when a Catholic priest gets sexually tempted by a vampire woman. Oh, wow. I got to watch this movie. Hallowed Ground.
We love all the horror history, by all means. Thank you for dropping that.
Thank you for dropping that. I got to add that to my recommendation.
Absolutely. It was also, within the movie, a really messed up instance where, because of the low light and the spilled bottle next to the body, they thought he was bled out and was bitten, one of the members of the club, and they threw him outside, but he wasn't. He was just passed out from drinking, and he had dropped a bottle. That wasn't blood on the floor, so they had to go try to get him back, but it was too late.
Yeah, that was hilarious. Yeah, that was a great scene. Oh, I love woman from Loki. What's her name? Help me out here.
Her name,
Smoke's wife.
Her name is Wunmi Mosaku.
Yeah, Wunmi Mosaku plays Annie. Fantastic.
She's great.
Another example of like the heart and soul of the movie, representing like the love, that vulnerable side of Smoke, who has a very hard exterior, but it just has gone through a lot of pain. Maybe that's why he has that hard exterior. You know, the loss of his son or daughter. He said on hallowed ground, he had to welcome her inside, but she said, "This isn't your house." And she looks up to the sky. It's such an interesting touch about why vampires can't go in churches. Interesting. Yeah, this vampire lore is just so fascinating.
Yeah, man, it's always fun to delve into. I wondered like how far they would go with like other ones. I was like, did they have reflections, like things like that?
That'd be really cool if there was a mirror shot and you couldn't see the character anymore. That'd be really cool.
That would be cool. But I did love what they had here. I really love the burning sequence of the vampires at dawn, especially the lead character, Jack
Right.
O'Connor.
Have you seen Midnight Mass by
No,
Flanagan?
I'm not.
Okay.
I need to.
But yeah, kind of reminded me of that. I love the symbolism of vampires burning, just in the way it was like spiraling up. It was so supernatural. It was really cool.
Yeah, I was fully expecting the finality of Sammy with his guitar to be like, because he's holding the neck of his guitar. That's all he has left of it, and he's holding it. I thought he was going to use it as a stake.
Me too. But he jabs it in his head. I was like, oh shit.
He does. And
That's
also
so
just
cool.
the plate, the silver plate in his head as well is also really good. Silver's always been really interesting because usually that was just initially a werewolf weakness, but then
I thought so too. But I'm like, okay, just kind of
it did through lore branch out to like affecting vampires as well, and it was like, okay, sure.
Mm-hmm.
It's par for the course, and I'm chill with it. But the other weaknesses has always been more interesting, like crucifixes and stakes to the hearts. So exploring that has been fun. I did like the idea of when it came to Smoke and Stack, their final confrontation, and he actually couldn't kill his brother. He just made him promise not to hurt Sammy, which maybe that's also why he didn't take him in the end. But also, again, that hug was just like such a respect of.
I mean, vampire, the hug at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
That was so surprising. Not the hug, but just like I totally thought Stack would die in that sequence. That's a really risky maneuver to try and convince a vampire don't to kill a specific person. I'm like, huh? But it works. It completely works. He physically wasn't able to kill his own brother. I wouldn't be able to do that. Like shit. Like I don't know if I would be able to do that or not. Because this is somebody that's been with you since birth.
It's hard. It is really hard. He already had to kill his love, in essence, when she was bitten.
Exactly. That was painful. Heartbreaking as well. And the way the blood was just gushing too. It's like, oh God, like a stake through the heart, your loved one, killing them through the heart. And then Annie say, like, as she's dying, she was like, I'll be with our child or whatever. Something along those lines.
Yeah, someone's already waiting for me on the other side.
Yeah, I'm just like, oh.
I didn't think about that, but of course that was, and when it does come to fruition at the end and being able to hold her after taking out the last Klansman, like putting the full evil behind and dropping the cigarettes, the weaponry, everything to be able to hold her.
Going back and forth between like the KKK executed, which I thought was it reminded me of like Tarantino. It was very Tarantino-esque, where in any other movie, this might feel like, why are we adding this whole brutal sequence? But I loved it. It was so meaningful.
I so vividly
the vampires
remember
are not the only ones like taking away their identity. It's also the KKK, which is an ever-present thing, more so than vampires.
It makes it such a compelling time period to tell this type of story instead of just like it's fucking 1910s England again. Like this situation is a lot more in depth with how much we were able to tell the story. I also was very compelled because like that was one of like the most impressionable shots in the initial trailer, the teaser for Sinners with in the IMAX shot. And I was like, I haven't seen that yet, and it's coming. But I'm like, are there more vampires? What's coming? And it's just like clan shootout, and I was like, okay, yeah, cool, I'm down with that. I'm not mad at it. Like
it takes Monk for his word too. It's like, if you go on our property, we will kill you.
Yeah, but also it makes it more. It's not just like a for fun, right? It's not just like, isn't this a cool sequence in IMAX? It's like, no, there's so much emotional depth behind it. In especially putting it at the end of defending this dream they had of opening this place.
So much pain that has already been exuded from this awful, unforgettable night. And then, it was just, he wanted to continue. He wanted to end it. Not end it. The KK is always going to be there, but he wanted to continue, revenge. Not revenge, but just like he wanted to get back at the people that were going to betray him anyways.
Yeah.
And again, it means just so much. But yeah, Geek Ledger says, like, watching the trailers for this movie, I was expecting the vampires to be portrayed like the vampires are said to be portrayed in the upcoming Dawnwalker video game. Shout out to Dawnwalker. That game looks fantastic. I think it's from the same people that made it's not the Witcher people, right? I forget, like the people that are making Dawnwalker are from this other group of developers. But look up Dawnwalker, guys. It looks like a very cool open world vampire RPG game. The vampires essentially feel a kinship with the downtrodden and society. Yeah, social outcasts. They're warriors against social racial injustice. Yeah, I bet you meant to go there, but they didn't. Yeah, the vampires are not like warriors against social injustice in this movie. Sure. But Remick thinks he is. He thinks he's better than the KKK, right? But it's like you're not as well. You're also very much have this parasitic influence.
It's a hive mind, in essence. A full blown like to a T cult mindset in a sense, which is a hell of a perspective to explore. Even if like you are like semi freed from it when he's killed, it still is like no way of like really existing.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, overall, this movie is just fantastic. I think on every level, the character writing for Smoke and Stack, the relationships. That's why I like the first act of this movie. It's building up the relationships so well. I saw a few people who thought it was a bit too slow, but I like it. I like getting to know this community, this town, the relationships, and again, the direction is just phenomenal. I think this is Ryan Coogler's best work on the directorial front. The way he's like maneuvering all throughout these perspectives is very smart and sharp. The IMAX ratio for this is like it's just perfect. It's crazy how much IMAX has permeated, regular people. I have a math teacher, Miss Thompson. We were talking at lunch, and she was like, I was talking about how I loved Sinner. She was like, yes, and I got to see it in IMAX. And I'm like, oh, wow. Like, people are actually saying, like, we have to see it in IMAX. People just, like, they hardly go to the movies anyway these days, but, like, for people for everyday people to be like, I got to see that in IMAX, like, that's just awesome to hear.
I love that. I can only imagine like Nolan's notoriety with his films has maybe like been able to push that into such a zeitgeist.
The Nolan and Denis, like the Dune movies, like they're all like it's all a cycle. Just like the IMAX, Avatar. It's like got to see on the biggest screen possible.
Totally, and I love that so much. I'm so happy that so many people are, recognizing IMAX so much more. I especially in like where I was afraid Dolby would maybe edge them out in popularity. I'm very happy about that. I also really like how the aspect ratio was a lot more narrowed when it wasn't IMAX, and it just felt like super, super wide angle lens. So when the IMAX does open, you're like, wow, we are transported.
You can feel it. Feels transportive too.
Yeah.
In certain scenes. But yeah, I don't want to go too long here. I want to go into The Accountant 2 and finish up there.
Right.
But yeah, in general, The Sinner is my favorite movie of the year. It's going to be hard pressed again. I keep saying this to get this out of my top 5, top 10, top 3. It's so good. It's so good. It's so good. It's so good. And I said the same thing about Dune last year. I was like, it's going to be hard pressed, and Dune remained my number 1. So we'll see. Ledger said the sexual explicit nature of this was really interesting. Like a lot of R-rated blockbusters starring white people are expected to be sexually explicit. Yeah. This movie didn't shy away from like the sexual nature of it all too. From the Mary scene, it was just like the sexual nature of love in general too.
Yeah,
it was just really, really good.
Like balancing the line of love and lust was very refreshing and compelling, and it really just like honestly deepened the connection that the characters had and the circumstances that permeated their ends and made it all the more impactful.
Exactly. Yeah, a great point, Geek. Great point, Geek. Yeah, I just love Geek. Kind of reminds me of that. I just love how the film community and even like Warner Brothers are supporting Ryan Coogler through all this as like a Black director making a big risky vampire / Black horror movie. It's just, man, I love it. I love it. I love it.
Absolutely.
It's so good. Yeah, they are, but that's why we have to have people like people can't. If people are listening to this, but like Ledger said, Hollywood is hesitant to showcase complex 3-dimensional Black characters. That's why I love. It shouldn't be surprising Hollywood that we're going off of like Jordan Peele's Get Out, Nope, Us trilogy being massively successful.
Yeah.
Sinners being incredibly more successful than all three of them combined. So it's just like, it shouldn't be shocking anymore, but it is. It's still rare that we're getting a movie like Sinners, even though it shouldn't be.
Yeah.
So,
like outside of like, it really does feel like outside of like those two names, like your biggest presentation for
right?
experiences like, oh, A24 is releasing a movie. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, cool. Let me experience like these in-depth characters, but the release can be kind of limited. It's not as wide as these bigger blockbusters.
Exactly. We shouldn't just rely on Coogler and Peele right now. And there's a lot of excellent Black directors out there, 1,000%. But then what we're saying is like they're not getting the bigger plays, the IMAX plays that Peele and Coogler are getting. Coogler might not have been able to get this if it wasn't for Black Panther and Creed.
Yeah.
And
I still very much champion Nia DaCosta's Candyman. I really enjoyed.
Exactly. Nia DaCosta coming out next year with 28 Years Later sequel.
Yeah.
Can we see that?
That said, though, I do love seeing that like this has one of the most lowest drop-offs for a second weekend.
6%, 8%. Yes, I think 6 now. Crazy
for an original film. That is
for an original horror film. That's wild to me.
I even saw like I don't know like if it fulfilled, but like some were speculating like it might even make more this weekend. It's like fuck, that'd be crazy. Awesome. The magic of the word of mouth.
See, I think it was like 48 to like 45 million, and now it's going against Thunderbolts. But I'm expecting a small drop again. Usually, the third weekend you look at like a 30% drop in the third weekend.
Mm-hmm.
I would recommend sub 30 again. I think we're getting like 28 million, 25 million, which would be crazy. Yeah, definitely above 25 million, which would be like a 25% drop. It's crazy. It's crazy. But yeah, lastly, because Jayla, my brother, is waiting on me. But let's talk about real quick why I liked The Accountant 2. Yeah. This movie isn't super deep. Neither was the first one. But this movie is extremely fucking entertaining. And I loved it. John Bernthal, Ben Affleck are incredible in this movie. Great chemistry, great everything. Their brotherly bond is elevated in this movie because they only met towards the end of the last movie. But now we can explore their bond, and specifically, before they even meet, we're exploring their human connection. Oh, Geek mentioned Ava DuVernay. Yes. Yeah, I think Hollywood, it's like, what have you done for me lately? She made that one Disney movie, I forget, with Chris Pine. Remember that?
Wrinkle in Time?
Wrinkle in Time. It flopped, and then they were like, no more Ava DuVernay, instead of just trusting her and just getting her to make another movie. Yeah. But then, like, they had to make Ava DuVernay make like this indie drama last year. It got huge acclaim, but even that studio, I think it was Neon or A24, one of them, didn't fully push her movie. It's unfortunate. But yeah, Ava DuVernay is a great director as well. Just listen to J.J. Abrams talk about Ava DuVernay because she helped out with like Rise of Skywalker as well. But yeah, the chemistry is off the charts. It's a movie focusing on the human connection and the love that not only that they share between each other, but individually in their respective lives as well, in funny and heartfelt ways. Going from the bingo, the matchmaking thing that Ben Affleck was doing was a very funny thing. Then cutting to that to see the loneliness that's in John Berthal's scene. They're both characters experiencing loneliness. Oh wow, yeah. I would really recommend it. Yeah, if you love The Accountant, you will love the sequel. Even people who didn't love the first one love the second one. I love the first one. I think this one's even better. So yeah, I'm not gonna get into any spoilers anymore. But like, their bond in this movie is just so special. It's so great, and it really makes this movie soar. I love this movie a lot. Even I think the what's it called? The main mystery.
Yeah.
Well, the first one is a main mystery, and it's uncovering who Ben Affleck is. There's a lot of
Mhm.
intrigue about what he could do. And a lot of the mystery is elevated by the end of the movie, where you figure out like, oh, the autism adoptive place is where everything is actually happening. It kind of goes full circle. Now that we know that already, the movie kind of goes into like the different cases with the autism agency in very surprising and fun ways, which I really liked what they do there.
Yeah.
But also, I liked the central mystery in this one more than the first one, because this
Yep.
one, Ben Affleck's character is more affected by the mystery that he's engaged with. In the first one, he's compelled by it because it's his job. He has to see it done. And the
Mhm.
whole Anna Kendrick of it all, he has to make sure she's safe. And it's just like, it's just I got to make sure this job is done and Anna Kendrick's there. In this one, he feels a kinship. I don't want to get into it, but like he feels connected to the main mystery. And there was a reveal that I loved that I didn't see coming. That was very cool in terms of the antagonist of this
Yeah.
movie. So I kind of like the mystery more here. And overall, yeah, again, it was just very fun. And John Bernthal, he just rocks. He was he was just a great addition to this narrative.
Yeah, I felt the mystery was solid, but yeah, definitely my favorite moments were any scene with Ben Affleck, John Bernthal. Ben Affleck killing it, even on his own.
Yeah.
And also the reintroduction scene with John Bernthal is really funny as well. You know,
Yes.
when he's on the phone. I won't get into what it is, but it is very funny. Just him practicing before going on. And yeah, their brotherly dynamic is so good. Their chemistry is amazing. And I was watching too. I was watching and I was like, okay, hell, I forgot there was an action in it because they get to that scene in the pizza warehouse and he starts going ham and I'm like, all right, yeah, fuck, I forgot, and I'm in Dolby. I'm like, shit. But
oh, nice. I wish I saw this in the big screen too. Yeah.
But then I'm watching and I'm like, fuck, when is John Bernthal coming up? I was worried. I'm like, I'm gonna get like halfway and he didn't pop it, and then he did. Okay, cool, here we go. And their scenes are so good. They're so good that I was like, I don't need a mystery for a 3. If you just wanted like brothers together camping, give it to me. I need
give it to me.
So
Give me 2 hours of them just like road tripping, playing an amazing race together. I don't give a fuck.
They're
They
so
have
fun.
great chemistry. Yeah.
The bar scene, the
Peak.
dance scene is great. Like all these different things.
Every time they were on top of his car was great. Just getting honest truths out of each other was really good. By the way, they mentioned for Accountant 3, they haven't started writing it yet, but they would love for Anna Kendrick to come back. That'd be really cool.
Those three,
just those three together and elevating the idea of like love, because that still hasn't been fully wrapped up yet. Even though they have found love between themselves, I'm like, they can't be together forever. So, I would love for them to find love respectively as well. Yeah, exactly. That's what a lot of people said. It is a very sterile. It's a drama. The first one is a drama intrigue kind of movie. This one's more not rom-com, but like action comedy, which makes it even better in my opinion. There is a serious subject matter, but the movie is just
yes,
that's kind of what we want. Yeah, it's great. And John Bernthal's character gets a lot more layers than like the guy who just misses his brother, because he very much misses Ben Affleck's character, the brother. But also, he gets more layers between who Bernthal's character really is, and I love exploring like the just shedding those layers bit by bit in funny and surprising ways with Bernthal's character.
I love, again, no spoilers, but I love the bit of just like asking Ben his favorite song, and it's like for the band to play, and it's like very obviously a song that they can't.
It's like
asking, what's her second favorite? That's Enter Sandman, Metallica, and I'm like, this is me. This is literally me.
I was like, I got flashbacks to Nathan. I was like, this is Nathan vibe. Yeah. What if it was just like In the End by Linkin Park? Would they have been able to play that? No.
Country version? I mean, I'll take it.
In the End.
Don't even mad.
Right. But yeah, the action is lit. Like when the action hits, it hits. There's some brutal scenes that I just really liked. It's not overly complex. I hate when action movies get like overly complicated for no reason. I was watching this movie on the weekend on Netflix called Havoc, and I'm just like, why are we going all over the place with this plot? But the plot isn't all over the place. It's very cut and dry, and I love the discovery process.
I feel like I can only like get invested in a complicated plot in that realm if the world that they're in is super compelling, like the John Wick films. Like if you want to get super complex with that, I'm fine with that because you go into these different intersecting quadrants of this world with so much stylistic ways that it leaves the impression to then I remember like what's happening in the sequence, why they're there, what's the significance. Whereas like if it's just like a generic like CIA operative on the run, like I haven't seen The Amateur, but I feel like it might fall into that trap.
Yeah, my dad liked it. He said I should watch it. I was like, it came out 2 weeks ago. It's probably already gone.
It is on streaming.
Imagine see where Ben is outside in a Kendrick apartment. John is off screen and he's just bombing. So John handed him a bouquet of flowers when he turns around. That would be amazing. I think it would just work. They all three of them would have great chemistry together.
You doing this?
You get that. You get that. Computer voice lady is back and in some very cool ways. Very, very cool. It had a theater literally clapping and cheering at times during certain sequences. I had a good crowd for this movie.
I gotta go to your theater. God damn it.
Yeah, the theater was cheering during. I'll just mention kids. But yeah, I
gotta get you to start recording voice memos to send them.
I'm doing it.
I need that. His reactions. The YouTube shorts I can make anyway.
But yeah, overall, this is a great movie. A very fun movie. I'd really recommend, especially Geek, if you like the first one. But people who have never even seen the first one, I think you wouldn't be. I would recommend watching the first one. It is a sequel, but even if you haven't, it would be mostly fine. But yeah, go watch the first one. It's fun watch. And yeah, that's about it. Right on. We'll be back later this week to talk about not one, not two, but 3 episodes of Andor because they love dropping 3 episodes. They hate podcasters. They really do.
They were like, hey, what if you guys had none of the energy but acted like you skipped 3 weeks of streaming?
Right. So we're going to dive deep into that for this week on Hyperspace Hype. That'll be Wednesday night. Thursday, we're seeing Thunderbolts, and we'll be reviewing Thunderbolts and Last of Us this time next week. So Last of Us episode 4, and then we'll get into Thunderbolts next week in our review. We'll see if we like the latest Marvel movie. Would it be better than Brave New World? Would it be better than Fantastic Four later this year? Well, we don't. This could be the best Marvel movie of the year. You never really know.
I do have to concede to Evan because he had called for a while that this would be better than Cap, and I was like, no. And I saw Cap, and I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. And again, I like Cap. I like Cap 4. It's just I see the cracks. I see the chinks in the armor.
It's mid.
Mid. I had no joke.
Middle of the road. But yeah, find me on Twitter, Harris EV9. About to watch some anime, My Hero Academia, Vigilantes for tonight. That's on the topic. But yeah, it's a good spinoff of My Hero Academia, which is ending this year, which is sad. Nice. But yeah, Nathan, what about you? I also want to see where Ben and John beat up a dude who's given Anna unwanted advances, and John says, "I'm Batman." Ben just gives him a look. That would be very meta, but that'd be great.
See you, man. Thank you for coming.
See you later, man. Like and subscribe.
Absolutely. That being said, you can follow me at _TimeBlazer, making a show called Time Blazer with co-star and creative consultant Evan Harris.
Playing Ben, not Ben Affleck from The Accountant, but a better Ben.
A better Ben. Ben is back.
Nice.
So yeah, if you guys enjoy this picture, like button, subscribe, now ring the bell so you miss coverage on all things film and TV. And that being said, hope you have a great day. Catch you guys next time.
Bye-bye.